In the world of tennis, many of the people involved with the sport, ranging from the players to the coaches, are good-natured, humorous, humble, and therefore well-liked. Others are temperamental and rude, and show unsportsmanship behavior, and end up disliked by fans and other players alike. In today's video, we have a look at some of the most liked and most hated players in tennis history. Let's begin with the most loved. First, Ernest Gulbis, Kim Clijsters, and Darren Cahill. Now that Safin is gone, it doesn't mean that no one else can charm fans with their personality or say something funny every now and then. Gulbis can play tennis that is just as good as Safin. Watch his run in Rome last year. But like Safin, he can easily give away important information in a way that is so silly it's almost funny. If this doesn't make you like him, you might want to watch some interviews with him after the game. As the new #1 in women's tennis, she has a rock-solid game, a very competitive attitude on the court, and a laid-back personality when she's not playing. Also, that interview she did with Todd Woodbridge a few weeks ago at the Australian Open about how she looked pregnant was hilarious, even if it was a little awkward and uncomfortable to watch. Well, you might have guessed by now that I watch ESPN, but Cahill isn't just on this list because he gives commentary on the channel I watch. His analysis of the game is spot on, and he doesn't hide what he knows. And as Agassi said in his autobiography, Open, he has a soothing Australian accent that almost puts you to sleep, and it's not because he's boring. Next, Gail Monfils, Jim Courier, and Novak Djokovic. Monfils plays every point with a level of passion and athleticism that is unmatched. He often makes shots that seem impossible, which leads to great rallies and long points, which makes for high-quality matches. He feeds off the energy of the crowd and gets them excited with these shots that seem impossible. Even if you don't like him at first, you will like him after you watch one of his games. Or he'll get you to like him. Before this year's Australian Open, I didn't think much about him, but as the chair umpire for the Rally for Relief, he sure was funny, making jokes about Federer and Nada's games. Federer asked Courier if that's how he does his job as a commentator, and Courier just said, yes. If that didn't make you laugh, then his interviews with Federer after the match must have. First, he asked Federer a question and got the answer wrong. Then he asked him about stealing towels. How in the world did Andre Agassi not like him at one point? Many players are afraid of him, but there is also a lot to like about him. It's true that he can be too cocky, that his team in the player's box can sometimes be rude, and that the way his long balls bounce irritates other people. But the funny things he does, like imitating other players or making jokes in on-court interviews, or looking up at the sky to either yell at it or thank it, make up for all the annoying things he does. Finally, Maria Sharapova and Rafael Nadal. Like Ivanovic, Sharapova has a lot of fans because she is pretty and stylish with well-fitting tennis dresses and her own unique style that she has brought to the sport, but she's also a killer on the court. Her strokes are very mechanical and ugly, but they can send her opponent flying off the court. Plus, she has great focus. She can scream like a little girl one second and be as calm as a toad in the sun the next, just adjusting her strings and keeping her poker face on the next. Off the court, he is kind and humble, but on the court, he is fierce and raw. No one else hits the ball as hard or as consistently as Nadal does. He kills the ball with the hand that isn't as strong and beats his opponents. But what makes him likable is that underneath all this aggression, he has a heart, as seen when he cried during a break in his match against David Ferrer at the Australian Open. Even if you don't like him for that, you might like him because you feel sorry for him. Everyone knows that he could do so much more if he hadn't been hurt so much. Now the most disliked. First, Marinko Matosevic, Bernard Tomic. Marinko Matosevic is not a well-known tennis player because of how well he plays, but he is known for being rude and causing trouble. If you haven't seen him play, he's not someone you want to mess with. In his senior career, he hasn't had much success. But Matosevic seems to have a problem with how he acts. The public and the media gave him the name Mad Dog. Matosevic also doesn't mind being in the news for doing and saying things that are controversial. In 2014, he said something controversial about women's tennis when he said he would never hire a female tennis coach like Andy Murray. In the same year, Matosevic lost his temper even though he had just won a match against Nicholas Mahut. He wouldn't shake hands with the referee and kicked the camera on the court. Once, he shocked everyone when, while training in Miami, he yelled at kids who wanted his autograph. Since he was young, Bernard Tomic has been in the news over and over again for his bad behavior. In 2012, Tomic asked the umpire at the Miami Masters to kick his father out of the stands. In 2013, he was charged with breaking the nose of his hitting partner, Thomas Druitt, with a headbutt and given an 8-month prison sentence. Because of his bad behavior, he also faced a 1-year ban from the ATP World Tour. During a press conference at Wimbledon in 2015, after losing to Djokovic, Tomic yelled at Tennis Australia for not giving him enough respect, support, and money. During an interview with Channel 7, he said he didn't like tennis and that he built his career with only 50% effort. After he didn't get into the 2018 Australian Open, he said he only counted money in millions. In the same way, Jo-Wilfried Tsonga beat Wimbledon in 2019. He was fined £45,000 because he didn't meet the required by a professional standard. Later, people called him Tomic the Tank Engine because he didn't try very hard to win the match. Tomic's words and actions make it seem like he doesn't care about tennis and only cares about making money. Next, Jimmy Connors and Ilie Nastase. Jimmy Connors was one of the best tennis players ever. He always had a lot of fans because of how good he was, how tough he was, and how much he loved the game. He still holds 3 Open-era men's singles records, including 109 titles, 1,557 games played, and 1,274 games won. But his competitive nature always made him really angry. He didn't worry about going up against the referee, the crowd, or anyone else who stood in his way of winning. One of his most well-known angry moments happened at the U.S. Open in 1991. After he made a bad call, he was rude to the umpire and yelled a lot of bad words at him. People used to say that Jimmy Connors was the kind of player who would wait for his opponent in the parking lot to settle a score. Before Jimmy Connors and John McEnroe came along, Ilie Nastase was the bad boy of tennis. He was called nasty because he was rude and disrespectful on and off the court. When Nastase played, people often laughed, cursed, and got very angry. Even his fans got tired of his violent words and actions. After he retired, Nastase was banned because he had insulted female players more than once. First, he said things about Serena Williams' unborn child that were racist. In 2017, he was kicked out of the FedEx Cup after swearing at Anna Keothavong and Johanna Konta, both of whom played for Great Britain. Finally, Nick Kyrgios. Nick Kyrgios is thought to be one of the best tennis players who lost his talent. Because of how fast he moves on the court, he's also known as the heir to John McEnroe and Jimmy Connors. He's probably done everything that isn't sportsmanlike. Also, you could write a whole book about the things that happened to him. He has insulted fans, tanked, made fun of opponents, broken rackets, and gotten angry at the official, among other things. So it's no surprise that Kyrgios is the most rude tennis player on our list. During the 2015 Wimbledon Championships, he didn't play as well as he could have because he didn't return Gasquet. At the 2015 Rogers Cup, he also said mean things about Stan Wawrinka's comments. Later, ATP gave him a 6-month ban and a fine of about $50,000. Soon after he was allowed to play again in 2016, he was banned for 2 months and fined $8,000 for insulting fans and tanking. He also admitted that he had lost 8 tournaments in 2017. In the same year, after leaving the U.S. Open, he said openly that he didn't like tennis. Even John McEnroe has had doubts about Kyrgios' actions and attitude on the court. He is probably the best tennis player in the world. He might even be number 1. Kyrgios was also fined a record-setting $113,000 at the 2019 Cincinnati Masters for 5 different acts of bad sportsmanship. That's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Till next time, cheers.